sack. No, gets away. He runs, gets away again, goes to the 40, gets away again to the 35.
Hungry dogs run faster.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Having Juice with OJ. And today we have a little bit of a different episode because I got my boy Dan on here. What's good, bro?
What's going on? Hello, everybody. This is the camera I look at. Hi.
Yeah.
Well, hello, Philadelphia. How are you?
So Juan had some school to going on. It's the fall. It's what happens now.
Yeah.
So we make things happen. And we got my boy Dan here.
I can't relate to that, by the way. I did like one semester of college because I'm a complete moron, and I walked out of school.
Well, that's an understatement, Daniel. But
well, yeah. It's,
yeah. How have you been, bro? It's been a little bit since you've been here.
Been good. Yeah. Started a new podcast. Excited to be here. But yeah, all's good. Football season's back, so I'm happy the summer is over.
Yeah, I think we were both about ready for football and football season in general.
Baseball too.
Yeah,
that's Red October in Philadelphia is just a great time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. And both of those at the same time, it's like the best time of year for me.
Yep.
Yeah.
No, it's good to have a good football team and a good baseball team.
Mm-hmm. And to kick things off, I mean, we had the Eagles in Brazil.
Yes.
I mean, there was a lot of things that happened leading up to it. A lot of people were talking smack about Brazil. Mm-hmm. How did you feel about the game and how it went?
Geez, a lot of thoughts on it. First of all, it was weird having an Eagles game on a Friday night. Mm-hmm. I thought the vibes were.
Did you
off.
like it?
No, I don't know. I'm still kind of like up in the air with it. I don't love it. I just like Sunday football. I just like give me the 1 o'clock, give me the 4 o'clock game on Sunday. Once in a while, like a Sunday night, I don't mind. But I just like the day games. Just like I don't know. It just felt like just off, and the game felt like it went on for like 7 hours to me. Obviously, we did like an event at a bar, so I don't know. Like I felt like when you're watching the game in a bar, you don't really comprehend the game as much as when you're just kind of sitting and like dialed in. But from what people were saying, the players really weren't happy with the conditions of the field. A lot of people were slipping. It's not the first time the Eagles have been have dealt with a shitty playing service. Super Bowl a couple years ago in Arizona, but. Yeah, I don't know. I thought the game was really sloppy, to be honest. Obviously, we're happy to come out with a win, but I wasn't like super impressed by the Eagles. Saquon's the only one that really stood out as like being the shining star in the game for me.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of what I saw happening in this first game is that they were gonna want to just show Saquon off, just kind of like an FU to the Giants. At this point, it kind of feels like just showing that he's still got it. People were doubting it coming into this year. They're like, is he going to be that good behind this offensive line? Because, yeah, it did switch up a little bit this year. Last year, amazing, but, it changes when you lose in Hall of Fame type of player like Jason Kelce. But overall, interesting game, like good win to have for sure.
Yeah, I mean, first game of the year, they grinded it out. I think the Eagles got lucky. I do think the Eagles got lucky that towards the end of the game in the fourth quarter, there was just mistakes that were made, and Green Bay didn't capitalize, and the Eagles I feel like they kind of escaped with the win. I feel like they really earned it so much, but you know what? Opening week of the year, you're still like smoothing things out and figuring things out. 2 new coordinators again, 3rd straight year for Hurts that he's dealt with a different coordinator. So I don't know. We'll see. I think you can build on it, but definitely some adjustments that need to be made. Yeah,
I mean, I have Jalen Hurts on my fantasy team, and I can say not that impressed with a 16-point performance out there today, or not today when it happened. Yep. But in general, with Jalen, what do you see happening this year? Because, I mean, people debate him all the time. Is he top 5? Is he elite in general? I mean, he lost the ball a lot that game. He needs to take care of that ball. What do you see happening behind center for Jalen this year?
Well, would I say Jalen Hurts is elite? No, I would not. I wouldn't say he's elite. To me, there's really maybe one guy who is elite in the NFL, and that's Mahomes. I think the talent right now, quarterback in the NFL, is kind of like scarce. To be honest, I don't see any like superstars unless you're talking about Mahomes. So is Hurts elite? No, but Hurts is serviceable when he's put in the right system for him to succeed. And Steichen kind of figured it out how to do it the best with you run the ball. You set up his play action. You run a lot of the RPOs. You have a good offensive line. But when you apply the pressure to him and you try and let Jalen Hurts beat you with his arm, I don't think he's skilled enough to do it.
I totally agree. And also, something that I've been thinking about a lot this year is the tush push. Is it going to be as used this year now that Kelsey's not there? Do you think Juergens and him need to really like create a connection before that starts to get used more and Saquon's touchdowns become less?
Yeah, well, that was what I was going to say. I think the tush push you'll see probably similar to 2 years ago where they kind of master it as the season goes on. Because Juergens had a bad game.
Yeah.
Juergens was spot on. And listen, the guy's transferring from a guard to a center. It's in the NFL, it's a big change. He hasn't played center in 3 or 4 years since he's been in Nebraska. So it's definitely an adjustment period. And then when you're going live in an actual game where guys are down your throat and trying to like kill you, the pressure's on. So I think there's some growing pains with the Eagles. I think you'll see the tush push more later in the year. But Saquon looked really good. And now you give Saquon this offense, this system, offensive line, the players on the outside where all the focus isn't really on him, he can flourish.
Yeah.
And I think he's going to be a top 3 running back if he's healthy. I think, and I said it to you the other night, I said when healthy, I think Saquon Barkley's on the same level as McCaffrey. I think he's that skilled of a player and he's that elite. It's just his health has been questionable.
Yeah. And it's also how much will he get used in general, because that takes a part into him being that healthy. I mean, using him all the time, you're just playing with fate at a certain point. And what I'm also really worried about with this Eagles offense is A.J. Brown going to be upset on the outside if this just becomes a really Kellen Moore like run down your throat offense where that's mostly what they're going to push? Is A.J. Brown going to be upset that he's not getting the targets that he should be?
Well, after the first game, he shouldn't be upset. He scored a 68-yard touchdown. So if he's upset with that, which was the best ball that Jalen Hurts threw all night, that was a really good ball.
For sure.
He threw it into double coverage and kind of split the defenders, and A.J. was able to shake the defender loose.
Yeah.
But Hurts made 2 really poor throws in that game, and some of his decisions were questionable. I hate like some of the QB option plays. I think they're really, really bad, and they're so predictable. And sometimes he's just so slow with the option. Defenders are in the backfield instantly.
Yeah.
The throw at the end of the game is just inexcusable in the end zone. You drive down the whole entire field. You're on your own 13. You throw a pick like that. It's really it just was really bad. And I thought the Eagles were going to lose the game after that. I thought Green Bay was going to swing the momentum, and they really started their next drive where they were pushing it down the field. And the throw in the beginning of the game. I know it's early, but I don't want to make it as an excuse for you.
Yeah.
You're a veteran in the league now. Your decision making can't be like that and throwing balls over the middle of the field and just getting picked. I don't know why you're trying to throw a jump ball in triple coverage with Devontae Smith.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. So there's a couple things that need to be worked on offensively, but like we said, first game of the season, they did have to travel all the way to Brazil. Yeah. Very, very far to go.
Bad field too.
Oh yeah,
you saw it for both teams. Both teams were sliding along.
For sure. I mean, I just feel bad for the Packers. I really do. Jordan Love absolutely looked phenomenal, and he's a great quarterback. And I will say, as a Vikings fan,
you think he looked phenomenal?
Okay, not like last year. Going into what you're expecting.
I thought he showed signs of
some greatness.
Player.
Yeah, I mean, it's more the fact that I just like the way that he looks out there. He looks composed. Yeah. The way that he has different throwing angles.
Just like Rodgers. He looks very similar to how and it makes sense because obviously he played behind him. But it's a similar style. And I like him. I do like Jordan Love. And I said that I put a future on the Packers to win the Super Bowl. That's how much I liked them at the end of last year.
Yeah, no, 1,000%. So it sucks it's good that he's only out 3 to 4 weeks. I mean, that's huge.
So they're saying, but people are not believing it, really. Yeah. People think it's actually more serious than it is.
Yeah, I mean, I would not. When I first saw it, I for sure thought that it was a season-ending
100%.
Type of injury. You can hear the pop even without the sound on. That's how it kind of felt.
And you saw his reaction, helmet off. Yeah. You saw him just kind of flailing around on the ground and no, it definitely didn't look good.
So prayers up for him. Let's move to the defensive side of the ball for this one. Who were you impressed by and why, and what weren't you impressed by?
I was extremely impressed by the Eagles' defense inside the 20. The red zone defense I thought was very, very stout. And I thought they kind of saved the Eagles in the beginning of the game. They had 2 bad turnovers early with the fumble and the interception by Hurts. So the defense was able to lock in and really kind of hold down the fort and only give up 6 points, which I think was kind of the swing of the game for the Eagles because it was like, all right, we're only down 6 where we could potentially be down 2 touchdowns.
Yeah.
There was some missed tackling. I don't want to blame the field, but there was some poor missed tackles. I was really impressed by Quinyon Mitchell. I thought whoever he was on, he locked him down and did a great job. He was the linebacker. He had 2 sacks. New guy. Blankenship played well. He had a nice interception. So there was definitely things to take away that I think were good. Obviously, some missed tackles, some big plays that they gave up. They got to take care of that. But for the most part, I thought the defense kept them in the game, especially early on.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with that. I mean, in my head, it was like 50-50 on how I felt about the defense. There was like shining moments, and then there was ones where it was just big chunk plays happening all the time. And that's kind of where I was iffy with them. I mean, when you're giving up that much on the ground, that was like the biggest issue that I saw. There's like a lot. I think it was over 160 yards on the ground on like 21 touches. That's rough. I mean, that's got to be stopped. Like you said, the ground was terrible. I mean, that's why I heard apparently Bryce Huff was not getting the playing time, is because apparently he makes harder cuts. Yeah. And they were saying that that's why he did not get as much playing time. I don't really know how true that is, but what do you think about the fact that you signed such a big guy and you were expecting to have him in more plays, and then him come in the first game, he's not really in that much?
Well, if that's the case, then
you
no
feel
problem
okay with it.
I have no
but
problem with it.
I don't know how true that can be.
I think there's some truth to it because he's a finesse guy who's relying on his quick cuts and quick speed. And if he has no footing, then he's pretty much obsolete because he's going to get overpowered by an offensive lineman. So if he can't, make those steps to beat a guy with his speed, then it makes sense. So yeah, I'm interested to see what the Eagles do Monday night. That's, I think, going to be more of a telltale sign how good this football team is, because now you're facing another good running back. I don't think the Falcons are good, but another good running back. Let's see how good your run defense actually is.
Yeah, Kirk Cousins absolutely looked abysmal. It was an ugly game by the Falcons. I mean, the Steelers winning when they're
I don't think it was really a pretty game by the Steelers either.
I mean, it was the fact that the Steelers didn't score a single touchdown and had 18 points. Yeah, my man Boswell was cutting it up. But yeah, so I mean, I think you guys wiped the floor with the Falcons, in my opinion.
Well, they should.
Yeah,
and that's where I'm at. That's kind of where I'm going to judge the Eagles on. If the Eagles don't beat this team like 31-10,
yeah, should be easy.
Then there's some question marks. There's some question marks because you should move the ball on offense, no problem, and you should have no problem if you're in a good defense. If you are a good defense, you should stop this Falcons offense.
Yeah, 1,000%.
Put your focus on Bijan.
Yeah,
and lock in. Now they do have some playmakers on the outside.
Yeah,
but Cousins stinks on primetime too. You got to take that into consideration. His primetime record is really bad.
Just in general, the way he looks. I mean, after an Achilles injury, it's tough. He's 36 years old. He's not moving his feet ever. He's like immobile as ever, and he already was very immobile. Like, he already can't move his feet, so the fact he can't move them more is a big issue. So you guys should get to him a lot.
One thing you can say though about Kirk Cousins, this guy's made his money. The guy's made his money.
You can't be mad about Kirk making his money. I mean, come on.
Yeah,
I'm totally okay with that. Anything else on this Eagles that you saw other than anything that we've covered?
Positive or negative?
Yeah. Just to close it out.
I thought the play calling was similar to last year. There was a lot of first down. A lot of their early down calls I didn't love. Still kind of running some like sweep plays in a sense of like quick throws to Devontae Smith. I don't know. I think they were inconsistent. I think they need to run the ball more on first down. It doesn't always have to be Saquon. You have 3 running backs. That's how you kind of set the tone. That's how you set up your play action. And it's going to help Hurts. That's what you need to do with Hurts. Hurts is not going to beat teams with his arm. He's not that elite of a talent. So you got to help the guy out.
So you're thinking more runs early downs?
More runs early down. I was impressed, though. I thought the offensive line did play pretty well. I will say that. Not just because Saquon had a big... I thought the pass protection was pretty good on Jalen. I just think there was poor decisions at times. But I do think overall he was protected well. But, you got to build on it. You got to build on it. I watched the 49ers last night, and they look a lot better than the Philadelphia Eagles still. And I don't think we would beat them. Yeah,
even without CMC.
And even without CMC, the guy looked good because that's how elite they are on offense as well.
Yeah, and that's a perfect rollover into what we just saw yesterday.
Yeah.
We saw the 49ers and Jets. We saw Aaron Rodgers' first pass attempt to a player and him just not catch it. And he was clearly visibly upset about that. to start off the game, as you should be as a 40-year-old quarterback. You expect those catches. But what did you think, even with CMC being a late scratch and the Niners just doing what they do?
Well, the Niners are just they have it down. They have it down. Listen, the system hasn't changed there. They have a great offensive mind coach. I know he's had a tendency to kind of fall apart in the bigger game, but he's knocked on that door now a few times. Brock Purdy is proving that he is a really good quarterback. He makes all the throws downfield. He spreads the ball to everybody. I mean, I feel like everybody touches the ball in that offense. There's not one guy to me who stands out on that offense. Maybe CMC when he's healthy, but this guy spreads the ball like extremely well. I mean, is it Juzak? Is that how you say his name? Juzak? The tight end?
Oh, yeah. Hughes Jack.
Yeah, whatever it is.
Yeah.
From him to George Kittle to Jennings. This guy Jennings is really...
Juwan Jennings.
Yeah, he's really mounted into a really good slot receiver. Debo's Debo. You can pretty much plug him anywhere. And then Brandon Ayuk's a really good receiver. So he's got the weapons, but he just finds everybody downfield. He's got great vision. He doesn't turn the ball over, and he just finds players.
It was interesting, too. I mean, man had no passing touchdowns, right?
Yeah.
No passing touchdowns, but he still had a good game.
Yeah.
So a lot of people are like, oh, you gotta pass the ball. You gotta have 1 or 2 passing touchdowns to have a good game. I mean, just proved it. You just beat the Jets 32-19 without even having a passing touchdown, and people are talking good about you. I mean, he did something right out there.
They controlled the whole game.
Yeah.
They really just controlled the whole game from pretty much start to finish. I know the Jets kind of answered the call early on and they scored a touchdown. But once they'd settle in and kind of figure out what you're doing, they control the clock so well. They have these long, just draining drives where they sustain it. They run, I feel like they run 13, 14 plays every drive where they pick the ball down the field. I mean, Purdy just finds everybody. They run the ball efficiently. And they just wear a defense down. They have these long drives, and they always, I feel like, cap it off with a touchdown. And then the other offense feels the pressure, and they got to go out and do it. And then you forget that they are arguably the best defense in the league. They're a really good team.
Yeah.
And if the Eagles play like they did Friday night, they will not beat that team. That team is just better. They are just a better team. It kills me to say it, but the San Francisco 49ers are still better than the Philadelphia Eagles.
Yeah, I would totally agree. I mean, even just coming into game one, game one of the year, you don't expect too much from these teams early on, and you just feel like you have to expect it from the 49ers, and that's the scary part. Jordan Mason came in out of nowhere. People did not know who this guy was. Out of Georgia Tech, 25 years old, 28 rushing, for 147 yards and a touchdown to cap it off. Absolutely amazing performance by this guy to come out when he wasn't expected to be out there. I mean, CMC is expected to come out and drop 35 fantasy points on your head, but instead this guy did, and a lot of people picked him up on the waiver wire. How did you feel watching this dude, Jordan Mason, run out there?
I thought he looked really good. I think it really benefits the situation that he has a fantastic offensive line in front of him. All the pressure's not on him. You have a lot of people to worry about on that offense. Really good. You got 2 good tight ends on that offense. You got really good receivers. Got a good quarterback who's mobile and typically can find people downfield.
Yeah.
So it was a great performance by him. He hit a lot of really good holes, and I thought he played really well.
Yeah.
He's got to do it again for me to really,
buy
in.
Yeah.
But does this question how good CMC is for people? That, does he benefit from being in such a good system? Now, I think he's a great player. I think he's elite. But I think it's a question to be had.
I mean, for sure. I mean, if you even just go back to CMC on the Panthers, absolute dog. The line sucked, injured him a bunch. That was the biggest issue, was just the fact of having a line. Came into the 49ers, had a line, and had all those weapons that are around him that were absolutely elite in Deebo Samuel and Brandon Ayuk and any quarterback that you want to plug in, really. So, yeah, I can see why that would make you question a bit. But like you said, CMC is that dog. Yeah. But it also just answers a lot of things where we said, like, oh, can you plug in a different quarterback than Brock Purdy? We've all always said yes. Does this now?
I disagree.
You really?
I do. I disagree.
I don't know, man.
Because Trey Lance sucked.
Okay.
He sucked and he was a second overall pick, and he sucked. He sucked ass. He stunk. So No, I don't.
You
I
don't
think
think?
Purdy is good. No, I think Purdy's
Okay.
good. I've seen
Me
enough
too.
from Purdy over the past few years. He makes the throws. He's got great QB vision. He doesn't turn the ball over. No, to me,
So how many starting quarterbacks in the league you think you can plug into that system? I'm giving you, and without even like counting, at least 18 to 20.
I don't think that many that would have the success that he has.
Okay.
I don't. I think he's proven that he's legit and belongs in this league. I do. Because Danny Garoppolo had a similar offense and he really didn't succeed. I do. I think he's the real deal.
Okay.
I think he's got it too. He's got the similar factor where to Brady, I'm not comparing him to Brady, but where the big moments and the pressure doesn't really bother him. And he's shown that. He put his team in position to win the Super Bowl last year. They were up 3 in overtime. They didn't win. Unfortunately, he had to play against Patrick Mahomes. He went down and scored a
the
touchdown,
greatest of
won
all
the game.
time. So totally makes
Yeah,
sense.
I mean, the best talent to ever play quarterback.
Yeah.
So it's, I do. I think Purdy's that good. How many quarterbacks could you plug in? I mean, could Tua Tagovailoa run the offense that much better? I don't really think he could. Mahomes, probably. I would be interested to see putting like a Lamar Jackson in that offense, but does Lamar Jackson have better vision throwing the ball downfield than Purdy? I really don't know. I wouldn't say.
I don't think he has as much
Yes.
pinpoint accuracy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
One thing I will say too about the Niners with their schemes and stuff, I feel like all the receivers are wide open all the time. I don't know what they do.
What's
like,
happening
that's
out
how
there.
I just smart of a guy and skilled the players are.
and also the coach,
Shanahan-
and also the
I
coaching.
was gonna say Shanahan just puts him in such a good position to just get separation and
get open.
Yeah.
Just, yeah.
I think he does a great job.
It's really about drawing up those plays. I mean, we've seen it with the Chiefs and Kelsey. I mean, he talks about it all the time where he's like, it's not me half the time getting open. It's the fact that the scheme plays that they're doing is to draw different defenders out of the way to basically put him in a pocket where he's just open. I mean, that's
And then
how
they go backyard football. They talk about it too. It's like once it doesn't work anymore, it's all right. He just runs around until he lets Mahomes do his thing. 'Cause it's like impossible to tackle Mahomes.
Yeah.
And he can make any throw from any angle.
So that's just what happens when you have great coaching matched with great players. So the 49ers showed that yesterday against the Jets. And what do we see happening with the Jets this year? Do we still feel confident that they're a solid team?
I do. Listen, for Aaron Rodgers hasn't really played in 2 years.
Yeah.
He played, 4 plays last year?
Yeah,
Blew his Achilles out. So it's a new system for him, too. So he really hasn't played with the Jets too much. We'll see what happens. It's a tough first game. You got to go on the road to San Francisco against a team who's hungry for a championship, was in the championship last year. And in my mind, is probably still a top 2 team in the league. When it comes to just overall, I think they're so balanced on both sides of the ball. They're so tough to beat. So for Aaron Rodgers, I still think Aaron Rodgers has it.
Yeah.
I saw some throws last night. I was like, all right, there's only a few people in the league that can make that throw, if that.
Yeah.
Like he threw one down the sideline. I think it was to Lazard, where it was unbelievable throw, just like vintage Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, and just makes sense that it's going to Alan Lazard.
Yeah,
I mean,
former teammate in Green Bay. Yeah.
exactly. Something about that Jets offense that I absolutely loved is somebody who I also had on my fantasy team, Breece Hall. Looked absolutely amazing with 16 rushing, 54 yards, 1 touchdown, and 5 receptions for 39.
He looks good early. I think the offense looked good early, and then they just
they just kind of collapsed.
and then they just fell apart.
Yeah.
I feel like they felt the pressure of having to score some points. And
Yeah.
they were trying to get A-Rod to like sling it downfield a little bit. So we'll see more.
Yeah.
I think the Jets can win their next 4 games. I think the Jets play New England. They play, is it Pittsburgh? Who they play? They play New England. I think it might be Pittsburgh. They have like 3 winnable games coming up. They play Denver too, and Denver's not very good. So I see a quick turnaround. And listen, you get better as the season goes on. I do think the Jets could be there at the end of the year, going head to head with Kansas City and giving them a game. I'm not saying they're going to beat Kansas City, but I think they could go head to head and give them a good matchup.
Yeah, I would totally agree. And that's just kind of how I feel about that game. I mean, it's the 49ers versus everyone is how it kind of feels. Another team that I kind of wanted to bring to your attention is the team that's going to be talked about for the first 6 weeks of the season as going to the Super Bowl, the Dallas Cowboys. How did you feel about their game against the shitty Browns? Because they suck.
Well, the Browns aren't good, but it's how the Cowboys start every year. Dak in September is like Joe Montana, but then when it comes to he gets a little bit of pressure on him, he starts to crumble. So that's how I felt about the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah, I
they
mean,
can have their fun. They always have their fun in September. They look great. They look elite. Talk to me when they do something in the playoffs.
so you have no hope in them, in Dak and Ezekiel Elliott and CeeDee Lamb.
Give
None.
it time. Give it time. It will happen. They will fall apart like they always do. They're delusional fans. They're delusional owner. They're delusional quarterback. He was on TV the other day saying they're going to win the Super Bowl. It won't happen.
Yeah. I would totally have to agree with you.
They're not going to beat San Fran.
I don't know.
They're not
I don't
gonna
know
beat
who
San Fran.
can. I don't know who
they'll
can.
beat the Eagles will split with Dallas this year, I think. It's kind of what I feel like we do every year. But yeah, I mean, Green Bay wiped the floor with them last year. How much better is Dallas this year than they were last year?
Yeah, I don't think much.
They brought in Ezekiel Elliott back. Looks like he lost some weight though. I give him that.
He did. I mean, listen. I'm happy for Zeke, man.
Listen, Zeke was a dog.
I love Zeke.
I will always say Zeke, prime Zeke, early Zeke, Ohio State Zeke, one of the best running backs I've watched.
Looked like a man amongst little boys.
Physical.
Yeah.
His jersey kind of pissed me off. He would have it tucked in his like.
You didn't like
flap
that?
jacket would be like unbuttoned. It was.
You don't like that when it's like tight all the way up
I
here.
don't hate it, but like, dude, like button your flap jacket. Like this thing would be like flipping around. Like, what are you, a dolphin? Like, come on, get it together, buddy.
Yeah, I love it. Also, I just kind of want to talk a little bit about a top 5 quarterback in the league right now after game 1, Sammy Darnold. Sammy Darnold, man.
I was waiting for you to bring up the Vikings.
I mean, I had to weigh in for our last conversation about a little bit of foosball.
No, it was impressive. They beat a really good Giants football team, so I think it's a good win. I think it's a lot to build on for Sam Darnold.
Yeah,
Excited for you guys.
I would totally agree. I mean, he started off 12 for 12. I don't think any other quarterback did that in their first game, so that was nice. Really, really tough defensive team in the Giants. So
Yes.
I think that was the real
Elite.
Yeah, very elite, as some would say. Daniel Jones looked spectacular. How did you feel about him?
Well, what you said about the defense, they're so elite. I can't even name somebody on their defense. How did I feel about Daniel Jones? Well, yeah, guy fucking blows. That's how I felt about Daniel Jones.
160
Tiki
million.
Barber actually had the audacity to come on the radio.
Yeah.
It was WFA and the Fan, and he said that he believes more in Daniel Jones than Dak Prescott.
Like with a straight face.
He was dead serious. I want to call into the show what he was in and ask him if he's on drugs. Because whatever he's taking, it can't compare to what the people are taking in Kensington. Because that dude, I don't know. I don't know.
You don't
If that's
think?
truly what you believe, it's concerning.
Yeah, that is very, very concerning. I mean, 160 million guaranteed for this trash bag to be your quarterback. I mean, I just feel absolutely terrible for anybody who has to call himself a Giants fan at this point.
Fuck them. Fuck the Giants. I don't feel bad at all. I actually love it.
No, you don't like the G-men at all.
No, and I love that James, your boy James, was talking all this shit on Saquon, saying he wasn't going to do anything. No, it's early on. No, it is week 1, but if he stays healthy, it's a telltale sign that he'll probably be
Over 1,500 yards.
if they use him enough, yeah.
Yeah, I would have to
At least
agree.
1,000. I mean, I think he gets at least 1,000.
Yeah, I mean, DeAndre Swift got 1,000, and you guys didn't even use him
Barely
for
used
jack.
Barely use him.
Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, good win for the Vikings against the G-men. Absolutely horrific team.
Yeah.
It's going into it, I wasn't that positive in my team. I mean, yeah, we have elite receivers and like all that good stuff, but how much am I going to trust Sam Darnold when I haven't seen much from him ever? And our defense is absolutely abysmal. Got old man Harrison back there. I mean, it's a tough look. So, I mean, the fact that they couldn't carve up our defense whatsoever just shows I don't even know if they can get 2 wins in this league.
Giants are all in now on the quarterback. They're all in on being shitty this year and getting the number 1 overall pick to draft.
Yeah.
Carson Beck's their guy. That's who they want
Yeah?
out of Georgia. I would say so. I think he's the guy they're looking at.
I mean,
Not that I'm sold on Carson Beck, because I'm not.
yeah, I was about to say, I think Carson Beck is great and all, but I think he's a college quarterback.
We'll see. He's got the size. I mean, he's got the physical presence to be. He's probably as big as Daniel Jones.
He's just so ugly.
He's well,
He's dead
in that
ugly.
department.
He's dead
Yeah,
ugly.
no, he's not a good yeah, I don't see him in a GQ magazine anytime, but if he could play quarterback, hey.
And hey, the
need
G-men
it.
might just take him. I mean,
Because they have neighbors, so.
yeah.
you know.
I mean, I love Malik Neighbors too, and I'm so sorry
Did
for
he
him.
do anything, by the way? I mean, probably not, because the guy who's throwing it to him.
Yeah, I mean, like he had flashes of just showing that he's solid out there, but other than that, he's not rookie of the year. I'll tell you that.
Well, I'll ask you this: if you look at any of the rookie receivers or just rookies in general, who stood out to you the
Brian
most?
Thomas Jr.
Right. I have him on my bench.
Yeah, absolute dog over there.
Yeah.
Touchdown catch was absolutely amazing. You should go check it out if you did.
So you think he's the number one guy?
Right now,
Over Worthy? Worthy 2 tutties.
Worthy looked absolutely beautiful. What I'm worried about in that offense is that there's just a lot of games he might not get used as much as I think Brian Thomas will over in the Jaguars. So I think he just might get more thrown to his way in the red zone specifically, that his numbers might look way better. Yeah. So
I drafted a bunch of
young guys.
I have a Dunze, I have Worthy, I have Thomas too.
Yeah, I'm really high on Thomas. I took Worthy in 2 leagues. I'm in 7 leagues, guys. So I won 4 out of 7 of my leagues first week though, and I had highest score in all 4. So that was pretty cool. But yeah, I got Xavier Worthy. I got only Brian Thomas in 1 league, and I'm very mad at myself for that. I just wasn't that positive. And after the first game,
yeah, you forget who's throwing him the football. That's pretty good.
Yeah, that guy Trevor.
Yeah, he's a pretty good player.
He can toss the rock. Yeah, and that catch in the back.
Game.
It was a
good
great game. It was a great game.
With Tyreek
Arrested.
Well, first of all, people were like, "Do you think he's going to get the Scotty Scheffler treatment?" Scotty Scheffler treatment. I was like, no.
Yeah,
they look drastically different.
Yeah, I mean, it was a way different scenario. The fact that you're just dragging this man out of his car. I mean, I get it. He could have been a little bit more respectful in a way, instead of just kind of rolling up the window and saying "F you" to the cop in a way. But that should not matter. I mean, you still should not be throwing somebody onto the ground for absolutely no reason.
Yeah.
Let alone a wide receiver, your best wide receiver in Miami. I mean, you don't think the cops knew who this guy was?
Hasn't Tyreek Hill talked about wanting to be a cop?
Did he? I don't know.
He did. I think he talked about wanting to be a cop. Could you imagine trying to outrun Tyreek Hill? If you fuck up and you are trying to do something, could you imagine trying to outrun him? You could be in your car and might not outrun him.
Yeah. I mean, definitely not in that Miami traffic either. So I don't think you're getting anywhere.
But he just shows up nonchalantly. 8-yard touchdown. That's what he does.
How you doing?
That's what he does.
That's what he did. Was a how you doing? I thought that he was going to get 202 tutties. As soon as I saw it, I called it. Well, me and my friends called it. Shout out my boy Bear, the detained game. I definitely thought that he was getting 100 yards, and I definitely thought he was getting a touchdown. I mean, he's just one of those guys.
With?
Was it 109? If I'm
6
correct?
catches, something like that.
Something like that. The touchdown. I mean, that touchdown was great. He's just so fast, man.
Yeah.
He's so fast.
Explosive.
And Achan, man. Achan's great back there too. Achan's faster than Tyreek.
He's on my team too.
Yeah, he's on my team too. I love him.
Which one? I mean, you have 10 teams.
Okay. Well, I know I have almost everybody on the slot. Whenever I'm watching Red Zone,
we probably have the same players because you have overall just so many teams. You probably have my whole roster just
spread out through the entire thing. It sucked because there was a couple times where it's I was versing the Dallas Cowboys defense, and then I was also had the Browns defense, and I had both of those defenses in 2 different leagues, and then it's all over. So I'm whoa, they scored. Oh no, they scored the whole time. It's absolutely terrible sometimes when you just it comes down to it's the worst when it comes down to they have the Niners defense, but then you have
Niners defense.
something like that in another league. You're just screwed.
Yeah, and that's why I don't want to do multiple leagues. I like to just root for my team.
Yeah.
I like to root for my squad. I put all my energy into one team. I've done the multiple leagues, but I didn't enjoy it as much.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, I usually tried to keep it to 3 or 4 leagues, and then I just got asked to be in so many this year that I just said, F it, and let's do it. So let's ride.
Did you watch any college football on Saturday?
Yeah, I did. How'd you feel about the Texas-Michigan?
Well, I kind of expected Texas to win.
Mm-hmm.
The line was telling. I think them going on the road and they were giving Michigan 7.
Yeah.
I did like Texas in the game.
Yeah, I thought so too. I thought Quinn Ewers would have a great game.
Yeah, Quinn Ewers is really good. Sarkisian opens it up for him.
Do you like them at plus 700 to win the Natty this year?
I don't hate it.
I like the odds. I like the value.
I don't hate it. You have a veteran quarterback, which is always kind of what you need, in my opinion, to win a national championship.
Mm-hmm.
Not actually, really, because now it's the kids are so young, and Alabama guys were able to get there as a freshman. But yeah, no, I like Texas. I think Texas is really strong. I do. I think Texas is a really good team. I don't see a lot of weaknesses with Texas.
Yeah,
As long as
Michigan.
they're healthy.
Michigan on the downslide this year, 1,000%.
Lost a lot.
Yeah.
Lost a lot of guys. They lost their head coach, and they lost a lot of guys
Yeah.
to the draft. I mean, they lost their 3 best pieces on offense,
Mm-hmm.
and you lost your quarterback. You lose McCarthy. You lose Blake Corum. You still have Donovan Edwards, who's still a good player,
Mm-hmm.
and you lost Roman Wilson. On the defensive side, you lost guys on your defensive line. You lost your safety. So, yeah, I mean, they still have the best defensive player in the country in Johnson at
Yeah.
corner. But, yeah, I don't think they have the horses to really compete with the top teams. I think Ohio State does. I think Ohio State's good.
You like them this year?
I do like Ohio State. I think Ohio State's a good team, and they added some pieces in the offseason that were good, some transfers. Caleb Downs is a really big piece. I think they added in. I do. I don't think anybody's going to beat Georgia. I think Georgia's just too good.
Yeah, I'm on that same wave.
Georgia's just strong, and Georgia's just so balanced. They're great defensively, and they can run the ball right down your throat.
Yeah, the one thing I was upset about college game day was Penn State versus Bowling Green.
It's interesting, isn't it?
It was absolutely terrible.
Why is it not at Nebraska? Why is it not in Lincoln?
Yeah.
Lincoln's unbelievably loud, and just they're showing that they're elite. Dylan Raiola, by the way, is he Patrick Mahomes 2.0, who they keep comparing him to?
Oh my
We're at
gosh.
the same number.
Oh my gosh. I hate it. I hate it.
You hate it.
I hate it.
The guy wants to be Patrick Mahomes really bad.
No, I hate it. Have you seen the footage of it, of him jumping up and down?
Oh yeah. No, he has the same haircut.
He has
He's
the
got
same haircut.
number.
He's got the same goatee. He wears the
thinks-
same pit vipers.
Yeah.
And the dude just flexes like him like this. He's like trying to be Patrick Mahomes. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's great. And also I think Patrick
We'll
Mahomes
see.
calls
He
him
makes-
like little cousin or something.
Yeah, little bro.
Little bro.
Yeah.
Little bro.
I don't
what's
know.
up?
He makes some questionable throws that he's able to get away with in college that he wouldn't get away with in the pros.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see what happens.
Yeah. I don't
Travis Hunter is the best player in college football, though, from
Oh.
Colorado.
1,000%. 1,000%. He's so electric to watch, and he never takes a play off,
take a play
which
off.
that can cause some issues later in the season.
Oh, yeah, we'll do
I
it
mean, just like
goalie-wise,
it did last year.
Well, he's got to pick his side in the NFL. So it's like, are you going to be a receiver? Are you going to be a corner?
Yeah,
I don't know what he's going to do. I would say he's probably going to be a corner, but who knows?
Yeah, I don't know, man. I mean, I love watching him on both sides of the ball, but obviously offensively, it's just so much more fun.
Yeah, the hype's starting to die down a little bit with Colorado. I think people
Mm-hmm.
are realizing that they overperformed last year, and they've kind of fluttered out a little bit.
Yeah,
'Cause
I
they don't
mean,
have the talent.
they're-
I mean, he took over such a shit program.
Yeah. And also the fact that there's not a lot of footage on you when you just start off like that, where that's the one thing that people just don't get about professional sports. When there's a Cinderella story that happens, it tends to die down because the film just builds that they're able to actually draw something up against your scheme. And that's what I feel like happened with Colorado.
Yeah. No, I would agree. I would agree. I think, I mean, it's a tough place to play, Nebraska. Nebraska's got the horses. They got a better coach, too.
Yeah.
Sorry to prime, but Matt Rule's a fucking awesome coach.
Matt Rule's great.
He showed it at Temple. He showed it at Baylor. Didn't really get the chance, I think, in Carolina because their team was abysmal. But
Yeah.
he's a college coach, and I actually like seeing Nebraska good again. I think it's good for college football.
Yeah, I would totally agree. But Georgia's the one,
I would say so.
unless
Fine.
Texas can do something.
Texas could give him a game. It's
I don't
definitely not
see
Notre Dame.
much. I don't see much more anywhere
It's
else.
definitely not Notre Dame. I can tell you that.
Yeah. You sure about that one?
It's definitely not Notre Dame. I would say Ohio State maybe.
Maybe.
Give them a game because Ohio State has trouble beating some Big Ten teams, but they're always built to beat the SEC teams. So we'll see what happens.
Georgia undefeated season? Maybe?
Yeah, I mean, I don't hate it.
Yeah, don't hate it.
I don't hate it.
Love that. Love that. Well, Daniel, thank you so much for sliding on the pod. Very, very last minute. Yeah, I literally called him about an hour and a half ago. I said, please, I need somebody. So that was very, very nice of you.
Tough to do it alone.
Yeah. It would have been tough for me to talk to the camera about my opinions. So thank you so much, bro. Comment, subscribe below. Give a follow to Enterprise Sports so you can check out his podcast too. They're hilarious. Him and his cousin, they're great. So thank you. Shout yourself out with it too. Whatever it is. What is it called? Slightly?
Slightly relatable. It actually hasn't. We haven't released an episode, just clips so far. But yeah, slightly relatable. First episode drops Thursday morning.
There we go.
So we're excited.
There we
Check it out,
go.
YouTube,
when this comes out Friday, it will be out because it will be the Thursday before. So we'll link it below. And I'll thank you. Appreciate you, bros.
Appreciate it.
In trouble. He's going to be sacked. No, gets away. He runs, gets away